Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to yoga with me and Luna. Maybe Lily will join us later too. Um, for props today, it could be handy if you wanted to incorporate a blanket, a strap, maybe some blocks, a chair. And then I always love when I can use a tennis ball as a prop too. And that just went far away. So find yourself any way you'd like to begin class. So you can come down maybe onto your back if you like, or come to seated. As you come to your back, maybe you give yourself a little hug if that's where you want to land. Just drawing the knees in, maybe even curling the nose up. And then you might land your feet on the mat, extend your arms out to the side. And for support, you could allow your knees to tent together, coming into what we call constructive rest pose. And then just allow your eyes to close, maybe, or your gaze to soften. Thinking about turning your gaze inward, maybe towards your brow point. And this point we call our third eye center. And just allow yourself for a moment to relax any thoughts of the past, allowing any plans for the future to wait. And just giving yourself this gift of being right here in the present moment as best we can, remembering that this is a practice. As you begin to soften and arrive, you might sense that there's a specific intention for you today for your practice. And in the series, we've been journeying through the yamas and the niyamas, and we have arrived at the second niyama, which is called Santosha, and it means contentment. I have a quote from the book by Deborah Adele. She said, "The Buddhists speak of developing an abiding calm, a centeredness that is unshakable. Like a tall tree, so rooted in the earth that great winds cannot topple it." This is the image of contentment. It means not riding the waves of the ups and downs of life. We stay in the abiding calm center that contentment invites us into. The practice of gratitude and non-seeking can help us stay rooted in this jewel. Whatever intention you'd like to set for yourself for today's practice, you might imagine it at your heart center like that glowing jewel. And since it's unique to yourself and your own imagination, you can picture the jewel to be any color you'd like. With your inhale breath, you might imagine a bright light filling the body. And then with your next exhale, allow it to deepen, darken, and fade. If you like, you can blink your eyes open and then extend your arms out into a letter T shape, On the next inhale, we'll bring the fingertips out in front of the heart, maybe up towards the sky, or you can also do this seated. And then we'll wrap the right arm over the top of the left. Allow your hands to rest on your shoulders or maybe under your armpit. And just take a moment to breathe deeply into your back body, into the place between your shoulder blades and your spine. And then take one more nice deep breath here, and we'll open the arms out wide once more into a letter T. Bring your awareness back into your heart space, and then practice gratitude for a moment. You might imagine that your heart is able to overflow with all of the things that you feel grateful for. And then pick a person in your life that you'd like to send a special blessing or a hug to. And we'll bring the fingertips right out in front of the heart. And then go ahead and cross the left arm over the top of the right arm this time, giving that nice big hug to them and yourself at the same time. And just once more, breathing into the back body, feeling the expanse right behind your heart. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll inhale, open the arms out wide to the side once more. Take a nice deep breath here. And then we'll bring the hands down towards the hips. Plant the palms next to the hips. And you can start to float the arms up and overhead. And then reach the fingertips past the ears as best you can, as far as feels good to you. And then on your next exhale, you can lower the hands back down towards the hips. Maybe you walk the heels in a little bit towards the sit bones and begin to press into your heels, and you might just lift your hips gently a little bit above the ground, finding a little bit of strength. And then exhale, gently lower the spine back down, and we'll alternate lifting the arms, lowering them back down on your exhale, and then inhale, lift into a little baby bridge. And you might just notice as you oscillate your movements, how the range sort of changes with your breath. Each unique opportunity to practice. And as you move with your breath, if you find your thoughts start to wander, you might just notice and then invite yourself back into the present moment. Maybe there's a place within each movement to find that gratitude. Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath through each movement. And then when you find yourself complete, we'll meet back up on the ground. So maybe one more little bridge. And exhale to release. From here, we're going to take a gentle twist. So if you have a pillow or a blanket and you want to bring it to your left side, you could use this as a little bit of a ramp or kind of a support for the knee. So go ahead and lift the hips just gently up, pressing into the heels. Slide the hips a little to the right, and then you can allow the knees to stack over to the left. They can either come all the way to the ground, or you could pad them with a blanket. Or another version of this twist would be to lengthen the bottom leg and then allow the top knee to come down a little bit further. And this might be a deeper twist, but this is why we might use a pillow or blanket for underneath the knee. So just remembering you have options, you have choices, and neither one of these is superior. So it's just finding what works for you today. Allowing yourself to come back into that abiding calm center. Maybe turning your gaze over towards your right hand. You might imagine the gratitude from your heart swirling around the intricate details of your spine. If you'd like to stay, you're welcome to stay here, or if you'd like to invite a little bit of movement as you reach your gaze over towards your right fingertips, on the next inhale breath, you can sweep your right hand up towards the sky, and then maybe you roll onto your left side as you reach the right fingertips past your left hand. And then you can allow your hand to graze your arm, opening back up into the twist. And maybe you want to try that a few more times. The next time you open back up into a twist, we'll go ahead and unwind the twist, coming onto the back. You might hug the knees in towards the chest, maybe lifting your nose up towards your knees to find a little ball, and then gently set your head back down, return your feet back down to the mat. Take a moment here to walk your feet as wide as your hips, and then allow your knees to gently windshield wiper a little side to side. Maybe breathing into that space, the low back, feeling a gentle massage of the earth against your body. And then we'll get ready for the twist on the other side. So coming back to what you would consider neutral, you can press into your heels, lift your hips, slide them a little to the left, and then this time allow your knees to stack over to the right. You can either stack the knees, or if you want to try that deeper twist, if you feel like it would work for you, you could slide your right leg long, and then maybe you bring the top knee, that's my left knee, onto a block or a blanket or a pillow for a little bit of support. You might turn your gaze over towards your left hand, allowing your shoulders to soften onto the earth. And on this side, you might notice subtle differences. Maybe you allow yourself to observe those differences with compassion and curiosity. And if you'd like to start the movement, if that felt good, you could inhale your left hand up towards the sky. And as you exhale, roll onto the right side as you reach your left fingertips past your right hand. And then maybe you slide your fingertips across your chest, opening back up into your twist. And if that felt good, you could try that a few more times, following your own unique rhythm and the pace of your own breath, allowing yourself to be with what is, with contentment. Santosha. After that last round, you can go ahead and unwind your twist. Maybe you bring your knees in towards your chest. You might wrap your hands behind your thighs, and then you could give your ankles a little rotation, maybe wiggling the toes. Take one more nice deep breath here, And then we're going to do a little bit of a core strengthener. So go ahead and lower your feet back down to the mat. Find your neutral spine. And then from here, we'll come into a dead bug. So you can bend the elbows, stacking the elbows under the shoulders in a kind of right angle. And then you could draw your knees up as well. And you might notice right here what is required to keep your knees and your elbows sort of facing each other. You could stay right here, being with the breath, trying to press your low back towards the mat, engaging through your core. Or on your next inhale breath, you might extend your right hand and left foot up towards the sky, and then exhale, bring them back to neutral or what the starting position. So we'll go ahead and try that maybe a little bit on both sides, alternating opposite arm and opposite leg. If you want to try a different variation from the dead bug, you could extend your right leg and left arm and then bring them back to the starting position. Maybe inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to bring it back. Take one more nice deep breath wherever you're at. Then you can land your feet, maybe stretch your arms overhead. You might stretch your legs long and find this nice long body stretch from fingertips to heels. You might bring your fingers into a fist and rotate the wrists. And maybe one more time, rotate the ankles. Go ahead and reverse the direction of your rotations. And then we'll bring the feet back underneath the hips. You could roll onto one side to press yourself up into a seat, or you could hug your knees into your chest and rock and roll a few times along the length of your spine, if that feels good. Once we rock and roll up into a seat, you might take a pillow, blanket, or blocks to make a little seat for you to sit on. And remember, you can always use a chair or a couch. Finding whatever modifications, variations really work for you. So take a moment to find yourself in what we call easy pose, Sukhasana. And if it's not easy, that's okay. We can always try to use the props, as I mentioned, to make it a little bit easier. Usually, if you lift the hips a little bit, you might find that it's easier to lengthen through the spine. So as you arrive at your seated position, start to lengthen your spine, imagining the crown of your head is able to glow up towards the ceiling and the sky. And then on your next exhale, you can maybe close your eyes and bow your head towards your heart. Finding a little bit of stretch sensation through the back of the neck, but only as far as feels good. On your next exhale breath, you might bring your right ear over towards your right shoulder. And you can pause here for a moment, maybe extending your left fingertips out to the side, or it could feel good to tuck the left hand behind your back as your right ear falls towards your right shoulder. From here, you might start to nod the head yes, just finding a little bit of movement through the side of the neck and the shoulder. And then maybe you softly begin to shake your head no, bringing your chin down towards your shoulder, and then lifting your gaze. Take one more nice deep breath here. And the next time your chin comes towards your shoulder, you can bring your hand back into your lap, soften your head down towards your heart, And then we'll try the other side, bringing the left ear over towards the left shoulder, and then maybe extending the right hand out to the side, the fingertips maybe pointing up, or you could tuck that hand behind, resting it on the low back. Maybe you start to nod the head yes, finding a little bit of movement for the side of the neck. And then you could pause and maybe bring your chin towards your shoulder and start to gently shake the head no. And I don't know about you, but I hear a little bit of snap, crackle, pops in there. But trying to just notice sensation, not going towards pain. And then go ahead and pause this movement. We'll return the head to bow towards the heart. And you can bring both hands to rest in the lap or on the knees. And then we'll inhale, lift the gaze back up to center. From here, you can stay seated for some cat and cow, or you can come to hands and knees. So if you're staying seated, and that could work on a chair as well, you could bring your hands onto your thighs or onto your knees. Inhale to lift the heart forward, and then exhale to draw the belly back as you round the spine. So this would be your seated cat-cow. And then if you wanted to come onto hands and knees, it could be nice to pad underneath the knees with a blanket. So I'm going to use my blanket and I'll unfold it just to make a little padding for the knees. Sometimes I like to tuck the toes under because it feels nice for the feet. Or you can untuck the toes and you might inhale to lower the belly, lifting the heart forward. And then exhale, draw the belly up towards the spine as you round into your cat pose. Go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. At any moment, if it feels good to linger in one place, or maybe even start to explore some other movements. Perhaps drawing a big circle with the belly button. Taking your time to explore your own intricate spine and all the different ways in which you can move. You might try, if you're in your tabletop, after a few rounds of breath, you could wag your tail from side to side, peeking over your shoulder towards your opposite hip, or towards your hip. I guess it's not really your opposite hip. It would be on the same side as your gaze. Take one more nice deep breath wherever you're at, and then allow yourself a moment to rest. Maybe you want to find a child's pose, bringing the big toes to touch, opening the knees out wide and lowering the torso down, maybe even resting the forehead on the ground. But it's your practice, so feel free to modify anything, change it up, explore what works best for you. If you'd like a little support for underneath the forehead, if it's not reaching all the way, a nice variation is to bring the left forearm right underneath the forehead and then allow your head to rest there. That might help to bring the earth up to you. And in this variation, I'm stretching my right arm out in front. And then in a few moments, after a few rounds of breath, I'll switch. And maybe if you're resting in this, what I've heard referred to as a quarter dog, which is just one forearm underneath the forehead, stretching the opposite arm long, you can go ahead and switch sides. Allow yourself this moment in time to let anything that's no longer serving you, just like water off of a duck's back, just allow it to rain off of you, absorb into the earth. From here, we'll come back up into our tabletop, and you can bring the knees underneath the hips. From here, I'm going to lower down onto the forearms, and we can stretch through the calf. So you can stretch maybe your left leg back, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat. Now, you can also do this on your hands. And if you don't want to be on hands and knees, you could probably do this from standing as well. Just getting a stretch through the back of the, well, right now, the left calf, perhaps. From here, we'll switch sides. You can bring the left knee back underneath the hip, slide the right leg back, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we are going to be making our way onto the belly. So you might like to move the blanket off to the side, and you can come all the way down onto your belly, or you might play around with maybe a forearm plank on the way down. So you can come onto the forearms, walk the forearms forward and the knees back, allowing your belly to hover for a moment over the mat. And at any moment, you might land the belly, stretch the legs back, untuck the toes, and then bring the elbows underneath the shoulders for Sphinx pose. Nice back bend here. If that feels like too much of a back bend, you can come into like maybe a baby cobra, planting the palms underneath the shoulder and just lifting the heart. And then when you feel ready for a rest after a few rounds of breath, you can stack the palms and lower the forehead down to rest on the back of the hands. And if that feels too far away, you could also stack the fists and make a little pillow to rest your forehead. That could give you a little more space. It might feel good to bend the knees and allow the heels to gently windshield wiper from side to side. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll lift the head, slide the hands back so that the palms are facing up. And then you could tuck the toes under, glide the body forward a little bit so that maybe your temple can rest on the mat. And again, if that feels too far away, maybe you bring a pillow or a block for underneath the head. From here, we'll bring, and if it's too much, to turn the head, you could also just bring your forehead down to the mat. Go ahead and inhale, roll your shoulders up and back, slide them back down the back of the ribs, and then you can inhale as you lift the chest, the arms, float the legs maybe. And you're coming into a flying superhero position, locust pose. Maybe it would feel good to gently rock a little bit side to side. And then we'll come back to stillness. And if you turned your gaze to the left, go ahead and turn your gaze now to the right and soften your left temple towards the mat. For me, it helps if I tuck the toes under and just glide the body forward. It makes a little more space so that I can land the temple on the mat, or if that feels too far away, onto a block. Take another nice deep breath here. And then we'll inhale, bring the hands underneath the heart, the shoulders, and you can press up to either tabletop. And then we're going to be coming up to standing, and you're welcome to come with me through a down dog if you like. I know we had talked about doing down dog with the chair, so I'll show that one. So I'm going to grab the chair, walk my knees forward, bring the left foot up towards the chair, tuck my right toes under, lift the back knee, and then I can step both feet back and start to lengthen through the spine, keeping my hands on the feet of the chair. And you might pedal the heels, sashay the hips a little side to side. Take another nice deep breath in your downward dog. And then we'll start to walk the feet towards the hands to come into a forward fold. You might allow your head to hang heavy for a moment. Maybe wrap your hands around your opposite elbows and just allow yourself to ragdoll here. Maybe making a little more space between the feet just to feel nice and steady, rooted and grounded. When you're ready, you can come back to stillness. And if you're using the chair or blocks, or you can plant your hands on your legs, we'll inhale to lift up halfway. So I'm pressing into the chair, lengthening through the spine. Exhale to forward fold. And maybe 2 more times. Inhale to press and lift up halfway. Find the length through your spine. Maybe draw your belly button in a little bit. And then exhale to forward fold. One more time. We call this one Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. And then when you exhale into forward fold, we call that Uttanasana. The next time you're in your forward fold, go ahead and spring load your legs. Feel the strength of your legs as you find a gentle bend in the knees. And then you can sweep your arms out wide, press into your legs to rise up to stand. And we'll sweep the arms up towards the sky and exhale. Draw the hands into the heart center. Inhale to sweep the arms up. Circle sweep them into the heart. And one more time here. As you come to a standing position, I'm just standing back here so that you can see my full body. You can bring your hands to meet at your heart. We call this one Anjali Mudra, and it's a gesture of gratitude, this prayer pose. Now what we're going to do is bloom the 3 middle fingers open. So I'll just bring it a little bit closer. So my pinky finger and my thumb are still attached, and the 3 middle fingers are open. And it will look a little bit, hopefully, like it might remind you of a lotus flower. And this is a lotus flower mudra, any kind of hand movement gesture in yoga. We call this a mudra. And just go ahead and take a moment to gaze at the center of your palms. And bring to your mind that intention you set at the beginning of class. Whatever it is, imagine it as a glowing jewel. And then when you're ready, you can send it out. Enough for you, enough for the world. Feel it glowing from your fingertips as you send it up and out. And then go ahead and bring your hands down to your sides. We're going to use the lotus flower mudra in our tree pose. So this one is called Vrikshasana, tree pose. And I loved it because of the quote that we had at the beginning of class. Standing in that abiding calm so that strong winds cannot topple us. And this is the practice of yoga. So go ahead and if you want, you can use a chair or the wall or some piece of furniture if you want to have support near you, just so that you feel like if you're going to fall, you can always grab hold of that support. From here, we'll peel the right heel off of the mat, and you might even just take a moment to pause here, noticing your foot. You might take a moment to start to take a few circles on the ball of the toe and see if you can send gratitude down into your feet right now. And then from here, we'll just leave that heel lifted. You could bring the heel of your foot right up against the ankle of the standing foot. Or I saw this modification was to step your foot onto the opposite foot. So like your heel onto that foot could be another option. Or you could step your foot onto the, what is that, calf. And then some people will reach down and bring their foot above their knee onto the top of their thigh. So wherever your foot feels like is the best option for you, allow yourself to find that standing balance. You might find a simple gaze. We call this a dristi, just a focal point on the ground or maybe up at the sky. You might invite your hands to meet at your heart. And maybe for a moment, you bloom the middle fingers open for your lotus flower mudra. When you're ready, if you like, you can start to grow the flower up from the heart, beaming the light out to the universe. And then let it go. Maybe you try that 2 more times, bringing the hands back to the heart, blooming the fingers open, and sending that light of your intention out into the stars. Maybe you try one more time, or you could always stay here in stillness. And then once you find your center, bring your hands onto your hips. Extend your right foot out in front. Rotate the ankle a little bit, and then step both feet together. You can step it out wide and shake it off. Allow your arms to gently graze your sides, letting it all go. When you're ready, we'll come back to our center and take a moment to place your hands on your heart. Feel the rhythm and the beat of your own heart. And then we'll blink the eyes open as you extend your arms to your sides. You can find that support if you like, and then we'll find the other foot. So I'm going to peel my right heel off of the mat. You might take some moments to really savor and kind of stretching for your feet. In past classes, we did use the tennis ball to do a little foot massage. So remember, you always have that option. And then maybe you go in the other direction, stretching through the feet. And then when you're ready, we'll find stillness. You can start to root down through your right foot, and then maybe you bring your heel to rest on your ankle. You could step it on top of the foot or the heel on top of the foot. You could step it onto your calf, or you could reach down and step it onto your thigh if you like. So wherever feels good to you. Our knees don't like to bend in, the other direction. So maybe we don't want to put too much pressure on the knee joint. Find what works for you and then see if you want to. And I actually really like this version with my toes on the ground. So I feel like I get a little bit more support. You could invite your hands to meet at your heart, finding that dristi, that gaze point. And then maybe you bloom your middle fingers open into your lotus flower mudra, bringing to your awareness that glowing jewel, and then allow it to spread that light out into the stars. And maybe you take 3 more rounds of this. Sending out that intention, that wish, whatever you're practicing. One more time. And then we'll bring the hands to the hips, step the left foot out in front, maybe rotate the ankle, step the feet apart, and then you can gently shake it all off. Letting go of anything that no longer serves you. Like wringing out a rag. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can let that go. From here, we're going to do another balancing pose, bringing the foot forward. So I'm going to use my chair to help me demonstrate this with balance. But you could do this with or without the chair. So from here, we're going to lift the right heel one more time. And you might place the foot on top of the chair. Or if you had a block, you could also place the foot on top of the block. Or you could bring your toes onto the earth and just try thinking about balance this way. And I'd love to incorporate a twist here. So we're going to bring maybe the hands to meet at the heart, and you can start to turn towards your left knee. You might bring your hands to rest on your thigh, and then maybe your left arm, you could dangle it towards your left hip, and you might start to dial it back, turning your gaze behind you. And you can see why maybe a chair could be very beneficial here. On the next inhale, go ahead and let it all go with your exhale. You can bring your hand back to your hip, back to your heart center, and then step both feet down onto the mat. Maybe take another moment of time to shake it all off. And then we'll try that twist, the standing balance on the other side. So coming into your standing mountain pose, this time you can peel your right heel off of the mat, rooting down through your left side, and maybe you step your foot onto support, like a chair or a block. And you could stay right here or bring your hands to meet at your heart, and then just start to turn your gaze and your torso as much as you can to the right. Maybe you bring your hands to rest on your thigh for a little bit of leverage, and you could drop your right hand towards your hip, and then maybe you dial that arm back as you peek behind you for this twist. Take another nice deep breath. And then we'll unwind the twist, bring it back to center, bring the hands to the heart, and you can step that foot down onto the ground. One more time, shake it all off. Next, we're going to come back to stillness, and we'll make our way onto our seat. So if you'd like to come through a downward facing dog, you can plant your palms either on the ground, or maybe you want to place them on a chair and try the chair dog. So I'm going to bring my hands to the chair, walk my feet back, lengthen through the spine so that my ears are coming in between my forearms. Lengthening through the spine as you sink your hips back, and maybe you want to pedal your heels one at a time. If you're wanting to come down to the earth from here, you might walk it towards the chair, stepping one foot forward and the other foot back, gently lowering the back knee, and then bringing both knees to meet each other as you come down onto the earth, finding any kind of comfortable seat. I'm going to use the blanket underneath my hips for a little bit of support. And then from here, we can open the right leg out to the right, bring the left foot towards the inner thigh, and then you can sort of turn your torso towards your right toes. Inhale to lengthen your spine, and then exhale, you might walk your hands out in front. My blocks were closer. I would use both blocks, so feel free to, one more time, recruit any kind of support. And I realized I want those blocks. So I'm going to bring the blocks to frame the leg. Inhale to lengthen the spine, and exhale, allow the heart to fold down towards the knees. So you don't have to round unless that feels good. You might try lengthening the spine on your inhale, and then exhale, hinging from the hips as you melt towards your leg, any amount. Noticing what you notice, breathing into those areas of sensation. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then on the next inhale, you can lift the torso back to center, bringing the torso forward. We'll go ahead and get ready for a side bend. So you might bring your hand onto your, this is my right hand onto my right leg, and then my left hand, just like a little teapot, little handle of a teapot, and we can start to tip over. So I'm sliding the right hand down the right leg, and then maybe bringing the left hand either to the shoulder, or maybe it feels good to stretch it up, or you could tuck it around behind you. Since I have this block here out to the outer edge of my right leg, I could also relax my elbow onto the block and maybe allow my head to lean on my fist. Finding a nice stretch through the side body here. Noticing where that top hand wants to land. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll bring that top hand down. Use the strength of your core to bring you upright. And then take a moment to pause. Find your neutral, and then we're going to find a twist from here. So you might inhale to sweep the arms up towards the sky. Exhale to bring your hands to the heart. And then we're going to turn towards the left knee for our twist. You could release your hands, bringing your right hand to your inner thigh, or maybe you stretch it to your left knee. And then you could bring a block behind you for your left hand, turning your gaze over behind your shoulder. On your next exhale, allow your chin to soften towards your chest as you round your gaze across the chest and then over towards your right foot. On the next inhale, we'll unwind the twist. You can lean back, stretch both your legs, give them a little shake, and then we'll switch sides, bringing the right foot in to the left thigh. I'm going to bring my blocks to frame my left leg, and then we'll turn the gaze and the torso towards the left foot. You might start here with your hands framing your leg, and then you can sort of lean forward, bringing your heart towards your knee, any amount. As you inhale, you might feel yourself rise up a little bit higher as you lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, maybe you find a millimeter more space to fold over that front leg. You can fold over as much or as little as you like. You could eventually round towards the leg if that would feel good. Just allowing yourself a moment to explore. Take some nice deep breaths, noticing where you can soften and release. On the next inhale, we'll rise back up to center, and then you can bring your torso to center. Maybe you relax your left hand onto your left leg, bringing your right hand to your hip, and then starting to tip over, sliding the hand down the leg any amount, or maybe landing the elbow on a block, resting the head on the hand or on the knuckles. And you could explore where would feel good for that top hand, knowing there's infinite variation, possibilities. Breathing into the areas of sensation in your body. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then you can press into the earth or use the strength of your core to rise back up to center. Bring your hands to meet at your heart, lengthen through your spine, and start to turn towards the right knee. You can release your hands, bringing one behind you, maybe one on your inner thigh, or maybe you stretch it across to the opposite knee as you gaze behind your right shoulder. Inhale as you lengthen the spine, and exhale, ring it out with the twist. On your next exhale, you might allow your head to bow towards your heart, letting your chin draw a semicircle above your chest as you turn your gaze over towards your left toes. Take one more nice deep breath here. And when you're ready, you can unwind the twist, bringing the torso back to center. We're going to be moving on to our backs next. And I'd love to do figure 4 on the back with the support of either a wall or maybe something like a couch, something that you can push against that's not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to move close to that wall space, or in my case, it's more of a couch space. So I'll move right up towards it so that my sit bones are right facing into the wall or the couch. So wherever your feet land, um, imagine that my feet are on the wall. That would work as well. Or they could be right on a couch cushion like they are. So from here, I'm going to extend the right leg long. If it was on the wall, I would lean it against the wall. But since I have more space for the couch, I'm just going to lean the right leg long. Bring the left ankle on top of the right thigh. And then start to bend the right knee as you draw the shape into the body. Now you totally have the option of doing this without furniture or walls. And then you could always bring the shape into your body, maybe hugging behind the right thigh. But the reason why I use support here is so that my whole top half of my body, the torso, the shoulders, the head, can all relax heavy onto the earth. You might be feeling the sensation in your left hip, and you can deepen the sensation by flexing your left toes towards your knee, maybe even pressing the left thigh and knee away from the body. But making it as active or as passive as feels good to you. Remembering that you can always choose your own adventure here. So if another pose works better for you, you're welcome to replace this one. Take a moment to soften the gaze and see if we can sit with the area of the body where you feel sensation. Taking some nice deep breaths. We'll take one more nice deep breath on this side. And then you can extend both legs long, maybe up the wall or onto the furniture or onto the ground even. And just take a moment to notice the differences from left to right. Maybe rotating the ankles. And then we'll try the other side. So this time I'm going to extend the left leg long, bring the right ankle to rest on the left thigh, and then draw the shape into the body. And I feel this really pretty strongly on my glutes in my right hip. If you want to deepen the stretch, you might flex your toes towards the knee, and you could press your right knee away from you. And remember, you always have the option to make it deeper by reaching behind that left thigh and drawing the shape into the body. And if it's hard to get your fingers all the way around the back of your thigh, but you did want to use that pulling action, you could use a strap and wrap the strap right behind the left thigh so that you have some more space. But feel free to relax your upper body, your torso, noticing can you soften into your brow, your temples, your jaw. Feeling the support beneath you and breathing gratitude into the hip. This is actually a similar stretch to pigeon, and I'm not sure if we've done that one in this class before, but if you know that pose and you love it, you're welcome to replace that, and then you could also workshop that one at a later date. But this one, usually I find people feel it's a little more accessible laying on the back. Take another nice deep breath here. Imagine for a moment gratitude overflowing from your heart center, sending love and gratitude into the hip. And then when you're ready, you can release the side. And the nice thing about being right there at the wall, if you are, or right on some furniture, we can do a really gentle inversion here. So you might shimmy your way a little closer to your object or your kitty. There's a kitty right there. And just drape your legs onto the seat of the couch, or if you're at the wall, maybe you could extend the legs all the way up. And this is a very nice, gentle inversion. It's good for our body to have these inversions when we can. You might even just think about it as a way to turn our perspective upside down. Maybe the next time you're experiencing these normal human emotions of some kind of discontent or any feelings that are coming up of discomfort, we might just remember what it's like to turn ourselves upside down, help us see things in a new way. Now would be the time that you could explore any choice poses, if there's anything that you're feeling like you'd still like to do before you end class, or you could rest in that legs up the wall or up the couch position, or you might make your way onto your back for your shavasana. I always like to leave a little bit of time before shavasana, if there is, for those special choice poses. Give yourself that gift of time, space. No need to rush. Giving yourself this opportunity to focus on your breath, be with your body. As you bring yourself into your final resting pose, whenever the time is right for you, you might bring some socks or pillow, blankets, allowing yourself to get cozy. And then as you begin to arrive in your final resting position, you could allow your forehead to soften, allow the intricate blankets of your eyelids to soften over your delicate eyes. Invite the hinge of your jaw to loosen and soften. And then, if they resonate with you, you can allow some more of these words on the topic of Santosha, contentment, to just rain over you like delicate raindrops. No need to think too hard. Let them fall where they may. In this country, what we don't want has become a contagious plague. Oh, wanting what we don't have. Rather than experiencing contentment, we can find ourselves busy getting ready for the next thing, tossed about by our preferences for what we like and what we don't like, and riding the waves of annoying disturbances. The jewel of Santosha invites us into contentment by taking refuge in a calm center, opening our hearts in gratitude for what we have and practicing the paradox of non-seeking. True freedom and contentment begin to find their way to us when we can see things as they are, neutral, and not spend so much energy manipulating things according to our preferences. I'm reminded of the wisdom of a 116-year-old man who said, when asked the secret of his longevity, he replied, "When it rains, I let it." You can start to deepen your breath. Sense that glowing intention from your heart as you inhale. Allow your body to be filled with the light glowing from that intention. As you exhale, allow it to soften and fade, feeling that balance. Imagine for a moment gratitude overflowing from your heart, whatever form that looks to you, using your own imagination. And then you can start to deepen your breath. Maybe invite some movement into your fingers, into your toes, gently rotating your wrists and your ankles. When you're ready, you can take a long body stretch, reaching your arms maybe past your ears, extending your feet. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and roll onto one side, cradling your head, maybe on your hands or your upper arm, finding a fetal position there. Taking a few nice deep breaths. When the time is right for you, you can press yourself up into a seat. You might invite your hands to meet at your heart center in a gesture of gratitude, Anjali Mudra. Maybe allowing your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and privilege to guide you through your practice today. Thank you so much for joining me. We can close practice together by either singing or saying Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shanti means peace. This is peace to ourselves, peace to each other, and peace to the rest of the world. Another beautiful saying in yoga is the light in me sees and honors the light in each and every one of you. So thanks again for coming, and feel free to let me know if you have any thoughts or questions about class.